What's up, friend? Hector here from StrongestHeck.com with this week's Technique of the Week. Today, we're going to be breaking down what happens when you don't have the same size kettlebells, when you don't have like an equal pair of bells. So I've gotten this question a lot from my email list, from blog readers, from people that just kind of follow some of our stuff, and even some of our students. What happens when I don't have a pair of bells? Like this program calls for a pair of kettlebells, and I only have like a 16 and a 24, or I've got like only a 16 and a 32 or something like that. Well, guess what, friend? You're actually probably in a better position than somebody that has an equal size pair of kettlebells, and that's what we're going to be diving into today. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use asymmetrical bell sizes to actually improve your results. All right, let's get started. All right, so let's dive right into this. So today, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to get maximum results when you have an offset size pair of kettlebells, okay, when you have like an asymmetrical size. So this is actually something that Pavel covers in his book Return of the Kettlebell. He gets into like some asymmetrical bell training. I'm not sure how detailed he goes into it, but one of the protocols is basically having a pair of bells that's 50% of each other. So for example, having a 32 and a 16, having a 24 and a 16, and he takes you through this program. So I'm actually going to show you some of the technical benefits that you're going to get out of having a pair of bells that are not the exact same size. All right, so unless you run a kettlebell facility like I do and you don't have hundreds of bells at your disposal, you know, it can be kind of tough to have the same pair of bells, right? Maybe you have a 16 and a 24, or you have like, I don't know, a 20 and a 28 or something like that. I'm going to show you how to get the most out of it. All right, so a couple of things that I like about asymmetrical bell training is it's going to really improve your technique first and foremost. How so? So let's just talk about strict pressing. Okay, one of the things that I see a lot, this is actually something that I covered in the 3 progressions to the kettlebell jerk. On the strict press side of the progression, one of the things that I see a lot when people are pressing one kettlebell is they get a lot of side lean. So for instance, they clean the bell up and you get a lot of this like side lean before you press, or this like descent of the bell before you press overhead. Okay, this is going to address that right off the bat. Also, this is going to help improve your timing. Okay, when you receive the bells in the rack, if you're double snatching them, if you're double swinging them, this is going to help you with control, and this is going to help you with timing. How so? Well, the bells are different sizes, and especially if you have a pair of bells of a significant difference in size. So let's say like let's say 16 kilos and 32, right? So that's pretty much like 100% difference in kettlebell size, right? A 16, double the size, 32, right? Now, if you have like a 20 and a 22, you may not really notice a big difference, but 16 to 24, 16 to 32, you're going to notice a huge difference. So when you clean the bells up, the goal here is to get the bells to move at the same speed and receive them in the rack at the same time, versus the 16 getting there first and then the 32 coming in last, right? Same thing with the snatch. Getting them to move the exact same difference, making them look as if they're the same size pair of bells, okay? Same thing when it comes to strict pressing, making them move at the same exact time. So if you can do this with a pair of bells that are not the same size, that is a pretty high level skill, and in fact this will actually make your pressing better, your swings better, everything like that, okay? Because again, the bells are independent, right? And we want them to move at the same speed. So let's talk about how this can improve your press, right? Or maybe you're not ready to press like a certain bell size. Maybe you have a 16 and you have a 24, but you're not ready to press the 24. Let's talk about that really quick. Well, what you can do is you can clean them both up, and you can work on pressing multiple repetitions with the 16, however many reps you have scheduled. And then you'll switch the bells, and then you'll do the same thing on the other side. And what you're doing is you're using the 24 or the 32, whatever the big size bell is, you're using that bell to help you maintain tension as you're pressing. And that's where a lot of people fall apart, is once they, like, let's just say this was my like near 1 rep maximum, or like a 3 rep max, or something that was pretty tough for me to press, okay? Where people kind of fall apart here is after cleaning the bell, there's this like descent of the bell, so now I'm coming unglued here. I'm breaking this cylinder, all right? I don't want a lot of lateral flexion, okay? Now, there will be a slight lean as you get heavy enough, but it shouldn't continue to increase, and it shouldn't be the first movement is what I'm really getting at. This should not be the first movement to press the bell. I understand maybe some people are trying to get a stretch reflex or what have you, but you're really kind of defeating the purpose, all right? So, when you're pressing your actual working bell, like the 16 in this example, the 24 is like anchored down on this side. So it's not going to let you kind of teeter-totter to this side to press the bell. It's going to force you to stay braced while you execute the press. So now you're working on your press one arm at a time, so one can't kind of cheat for the other, but also it's allowing you to stay dialed in the midsection as you press overhead, okay? So that's the one big benefit to using asymmetrical bells. Not so much to press them at the same time, that's the next thing we're going to talk about, but the big part that I like about it is, like I said, keeping your body connected. Big bell stays on this side, so you're not even trying to press this bell. Again, it might even be a bell that you can't press just yet, but being able to rack that bell, hold it, stay connected, and work on your presses with this side, now you're maintaining alignment, you're maintaining tension, and you're not leaking anything as you're pressing. That's big benefit number one, okay? The second benefit is getting the bells to move at the same time, right? So when I clean these up, the goal here is to get them to come into the rack at the same time and not kind of like the 16 first and then the 24, right? So that's a skill that you're going to need to dial in and practice and get those bells to move at the same time, okay? Same thing when you're doing your swings. When you're swinging the bells, you don't want them kind of flopping around. Imagine that there's like a 2-inch string attached to the bell, and you're trying to keep it side by side, and you don't want to snap that piece of string, okay? So take some time, practice on getting the bells to move up at the same time, okay? And then as you press, getting them to move at the same time, okay? So those are the two big benefits there. When you really dial those two pieces in, you're going to see how much better your pressing gets. You're going to see how much better your timing gets by getting the bells to move at the same speed, all right? So if you've been maybe reluctant to maybe start a certain program because you're like, man, that kettlebell program, what have you, you need 2 bells, and I have a 16 and a 24 or something like that. Or pick any, enter any asymmetrical size that you have. This is actually more of a benefit versus like a hindrance. Is that even the right comparison? It's actually a what's the word I'm looking for here? It's an asset, not a liability, okay, that you have 2 different size bells. So use that to your advantage and really dial in your technical skill, all right? So today we talked about improving your press, using your working size bell, 16 kilo as an example, and then the heavy bell, 24 for today, is just staying anchored here on this side so that way you can work on your press one at a time, and this is keeping you anchored in and keeping your body connected, okay? Keeping the cylinder over the bowl, over the hips. And then you'll put the bells down, you'll switch, and then you'll do the same thing, okay? So you can front squat them on that side also, and just switch the bells, front squat them on the other side, so it all evens out in the end. But you're gonna notice how much better your press gets on each side because you're doing it independently, and then your timing's gonna get better, okay? Cleaning the bells, swinging the bells, snatching the bells, etc. If you do decide to press them at the same time, I highly recommend, again, really dialing in, getting them to move at the same speed. And I wouldn't really recommend you do this with ballistic exercises in terms of, no, you probably could. It shouldn't make that big of a deal, but doing things like jerks, I would be a little cautious doing it with jerks. You should be able to do this with snatches. You should be able to do this with push presses. Just be cautious with it. Again, got to dial in the skill first. So like we talked about in the 3 progressions to the jerk, make sure you own this with the strict press first, then own it with the push press, then own it with then eventually you can take it to the jerk, the snatch, etc. So always owning the grind before you own the ballistic, all right? So that's all I got for you today. Learning how to train with asymmetrical bells, use it to your advantage for at a time that you don't have the same size pair of bells, all right? So if you have any questions, you have any comments, be sure to drop something in the comment section below. If you're enjoying the videos, as always, you know the deal. Subscribe to the channel. That way I can continue putting out really cool stuff for you to take your results to the next level. Because why is any of this stuff important to you? The better your technique is, the more efficient you're going to be in training, which means you're going to be able to attain your outcome, whatever that outcome is that you want. If it's muscle building, if it's gaining strength, if it's fat loss, whatever that goal is for you, technique is a huge piece of that puzzle, because if the technical skill's not there, you're not going to be efficient, you're not going to train safe, which means you can't train as often as you like, which means results are going to be hindered. All right, so that's why this is important to you. Okay, so put that into action. Again, you have any questions, you have any comments, drop in the comment section below. And Hector signing out, strongashheck.com with this week's technique of the week.